Hello and welcome to another A&W Sports episode. With the XFL season right around the way, I'm going to be ranking each team's preseason positioning, if you will. So we're talking about coaches, the stadiums, ticket sales that we can see so far. So we're going to start, and I'm going to put them all together, but today we're starting with stadiums, and we're starting with Cashman Stadium at number 8. Now, Cashman Stadium is where the Vegas Vipers are going to be playing this year. It's not a big stadium. There was a lot of problems with it. This was like just a last-ditch thing. This is probably their only plan that they had in place. It used to be a minor league stadium. However, it has been renovated into a soccer stadium, as you can sort of see by the pattern of the grass. The XFL is going to throw some stripes on it, call it a day, and play. It only holds about 10,000 people, so it's a little small for a pro venue, but it's okay. Number 7 is Choctaw Stadium. Now, Choctaw Stadium was a former baseball stadium where the Texas Rangers used to play. Because of that, the angles and the seating arrangement are a little weird, and the field doesn't fit in there quite as well as it would in a football-specific stadium. However, I mean, it gets the job done, but it's definitely not very, very good. I think if they had a smaller stadium that would work better than Choctaw, you might just want to keep renovating it. Number 6, we have Orlando. Now, Orlando is playing in Camping World Stadium. It's very reminiscent of Raymond James Stadium down in Tampa Bay. It's really big. It's got 65,000 seats, which, I mean, at an NFL level, that's not too terribly large, but for an XFL, I think that's like wearing a shirt that looks like a dress. So I think the one problem is there's too many seats. I've already looked on ticket sales, and they're only selling tickets on one half of the stadium. So that's a concern of mine. It's just a little too big. Next up, we have Lumen Field. So this is number 5. Lumen Field in Seattle has a capacity of 72,000. I think it's just a little too big for the XFL. Even though they've designed it to really be able to capture the sounds of the fans, they designed it to capture the sounds of 72,000 fans and not, say, 24,000-ish fans. I think it's just a little too big. Seattle does come out in a lot of numbers, and they were one of the highest group of people in the XFL last year. Number 5, this is number 4, I'm sorry. Number 4, we have the Alamo Dome. Now, the Alamo Dome seats 72,000 people. However, it's not too terribly high on my list. Now, it has an amazing atmosphere. I went to an AAF Commanders game, and 30,000 fans. It was so ridiculously loud. Just the problem that I have is it's not a very nice stadium. It's really dark, as you can see in the picture. And then moving on now, this is Audi Field. Now, Audi Field is a beautiful stadium. It's a soccer stadium. However, because of that rectangle position, a football stadium fits in there very nicely as well. It holds 20,000 people, and I don't think ticket sales are going to be enough to get it to that 20,000 mark. There's a lot of the upper deck is still available, but they're not selling any tickets up there as of when I checked the seating schedule today. And then number 2, we have the stadium, the Dome Center at America, the Dome at America Center. This is where the St. Louis Seahawks are playing. Now, the St. Louis Seahawks, I've already checked out the seating arrangement. They've packed out the bottom. I wouldn't be surprised if the top opens up by the end of the season. I think it's a very well-seated venue, and Seattle's just an amazing sports capital, really, for the XFL. And I think they've already sold more tickets than anybody else. But number 1, I have the Houston Roughnecks. Now, they're playing in TDECU Stadium, so that's right near downtown, as you can see in the picture. It's very nice, very clean, and it has room to expand the fan base. Now, I've been there. It's very clean. The one problem that I would have is that parking is so ridiculously expensive, but it's a very nice stadium otherwise, and it's that football-specific stadium. So that's why I have it ranked number 1. Moving on now, we're just going to talk about the quarterback situation. Now, I put just uniforms up here because I couldn't find pictures of all the quarterbacks. So the Houston Roughnecks were rocking with, I think it's Caleb Ellaby and Brandon Silvers. I think Brandon Silvers will get the job at the beginning, but switch it off to Caleb Ellaby. Caleb Ellaby is just a more dynamic player. The Orlando Guardians. Now, the Orlando Guardians have a number of kids. Quentin Normandy and DeAndre Francois are the ones that stepped out to me the most. I looked at DeAndre Francois. He's got a poor passer completion. I think he or Normandy will take the lead. Seattle Sea Dragons, they only have Ben DiNucci and Brian Lewerk. I don't know who any of these people are, and so I'm just as confused as you are. I don't know anything about them, so it's going to be exciting to see. The DC Defenders, now the DC Defenders have Eric Dungy, Derek King, and Jordan Teamu. Those are, as far as I'm concerned, they're option quarterbacks. I think they'll all do really well in the XFL, so it's just a matter of who you're going to play. The St. Louis Battlehawks, now they have A.J. McCarron, Ryan Willis, and Nick Triano. I think A.J. McCarron might be the starting quarterback at the beginning, but I would not be surprised if Ryan Willis takes the lead on that. Next to San Antonio. Now, San Antonio, they've got four quarterbacks, Jawan Pass, Jack Cohn, Anthony Russo, and Reed Sinnett. I didn't know too much of these kids. I looked all over for them. All of them are relatively average quarterbacks. Now, the Vipers have a couple names that stand out big to me, such as Jalen McClendon, Luis Perez, and Brian Scott. Brian Scott recently signed with them. He had a very high completion percentage in the USFL, and Luis Perez has the highest completion percentage in the USFL. Jalen McClendon, I think he's just going to be sat on the bench. Next, we have the Arlington Renegades, Kyle Sloter, Kevin Anderson, Drew Plitt. I'm going to put my money on Kyle Sloter taking the starting position there. He played really well in the US. Now, looking at the coaching position, we're going to start with Houston, and they have Wade Phillips. Now, Wade Phillips has played for years and years and years. He's had 2 Super Bowl defenses that have looked absolutely star-studded. I'm talking the Denver Broncos when they beat Cam Phillips and the Rams whenever they lost to Tom Brady. And I mean Cam Newton, not Cam Phillips. Now, he's been known for a strong defense, and offensively, I think it's going to look more smash mouth. When he drafted, his first 2 drafts were a running back and tight end. So, obviously not going to be a heavy pass attack team. Next up, Anthony Becht. Now, Anthony Becht is little known about his coaching. This is going to be his first coaching stint ever. From what I've seen, what I've heard, he does look fairly competent. From playing at tight end, I think this is going to be a more pass-heavy offense. And looking at the first couple rounds of the draft, he drafted primarily wide receivers and tight ends, and then waited a little bit longer to pick up a running back. I think the offense is going to be pass-heavy, but relatively balanced, I would say. And I think with those fans, he might be a very hard person to stop. Now, Bob Stoops, I think he's going to play well. He's got a veteran defense, veteran offense. He's very, when he drafted this year, it looked fairly standard, nothing too crazy. He just went with an older team. I think he's got a balanced team altogether, and with Kyle Sloter, I think it's going to look pretty good. He's won the college football national championship before, so he does bring this air of championship knowledge. So if he does get there, he's going to know how to act, and he's going to know how to coach his team. Now, going on to DC. Now, DC is coached by Reggie Barlow. He's had a lot of success in Division II and FCS games. He's gone to multiple championships in those different conferences of the NCAA. I think he's going to have a balanced team, balanced attack, but it's going to be options. So, quarterback run, he's going to roll out passes, design quarterback runs, a lot of that sort of thing. And his quarterback room looks like that. Jordan Teamu, he's a very mobile quarterback. He's got other people that can run around. And I think he's got a pretty solid quarterback situation. So I think he could be doing really well this year. I think he might either crash and burn, or his team might just, you'll see them in the championship this year. Moving on to San Antonio, Hines Ward. He's been a wide receiver coach, and looking at just the way that he drafted, it's going to be a pass-heavy offense, but I think it's going to be a great offense. Defensively, I don't know what he's going to bring to the table. I haven't been able to find too much about his defensive prowess. I think this is his first head coach position. Vegas, Rod Woodson. Now, Rod Woodson's been a defensive back coach for a while. I would say relatively inexperienced. He's only been coaching for, I think, a couple of years professionally. So I think there might be some stuff to improve upon with Rod Woodson. But I think he's going to bring a balanced team to the table. His quarterback room consisting of Luis Perez and Brian Scott alone makes that a very formidable foe. Both of those players were highly accurate during their times with their respective USFL teams, being the Generals and the Stars. So I think both of those guys are going to be doing amazing with Vegas, and they do a lot of traveling. They've got 5 games home, 5 games away. So definitely watch for Vegas. Now, I don't know if Rod Woodson's going to take that team to the next step. I would say he might be a prohibiting factor. Moving on, Orlando. Now, Orlando's coached by Terrell Buckley. He was defensive back when he played football. It looks like he's going to have an amazing secondary defense, and it's going to be a pass attack all day long. I'm calling it now. You're going to see him in wide formations, empty backfield, because they didn't even draft a running back till the 5th round. It was wide receiver, tight end, then the running back. So definitely look for trying to have a high-flying offense. All in all, it's probably going to be a little smaller of a hometown crowd, but I think Terrell Buckley, he's probably another sink or swim player for the South. So moving on, this is our last team, Seattle. Seattle, Jim Haslett, he's been coaching defense for the longest time, and I'm very confident in his defense. Offensive-wise, I'm not sure. So in the South Division, I do believe that the Roughnecks will take number 2, Renegades number 1, Brahmas number 3, and Orlando number 4. In the North Division, I believe the St. Louis Battlehawks to go number 1, Vipers number 2, Sea Dragons number 3, and DC number 4, even though I think DC might be really good this year. That being said, please watch a couple of these XFL games. It might take a little bit for the teams to get going and mesh for a little bit, but they're fun to watch. But I would love it if y'all would, like and subscribe. If you want to subscribe, that'll help me out a lot. But I love you. Goodbye.